And we are ready. Are you ready?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of our Lockdown TV 2.0, where we get to interact with our netball superstars. And today we're about to have a conversation with Pamela Chukwu, who is representing the Eastern Cape Aloes as a goalkeeper. Welcome, Pamela.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Can see you wearing your attire. It's always close by. Is it always like, always on standby? Is that the case?
No, not exactly.
Okay. Now that's chill. That's chill. So this interview is all about you, getting to know you. We just want to know who Pamela is. We see you guys on court, doing wonders on the netball court. So we'd also like to get to know who you guys are, and how you guys got to where you are. Talking about how you got to where you are. Let's talk about you growing up. What kind of a child were you growing up?
I was very quiet actually growing up. I was a quiet child.
You're
Yeah,
thinking
I was
about it.
quiet.
How you like us,
Um,
Pamela?
no, I really was quiet. Really was quiet. I love sports a lot. Um, Took part in sports from the age of probably like 7, 6. Started winning races. I used to be like a sprinter anyway back then.
Hmm.
Throughout, actually from primary school through to high school, I took part in netball as well, but netball wasn't like my main sport. It was mostly track and field. So yeah, basically just playing netball, provincial level. I think I made nationals once or twice here and there. Um, and then netball, I took like netball sort of like took over. I think only properly in varsity, to be honest. Yeah, throughout high school, it was athletics, well, and netball as well. I was part of the netball team as well as school, but then I never took it that seriously as a sport.
Yeah.
So
Are
yeah.
you still quiet even now, or you're pretty talkative, or you very?
I think when I'm comfortable around people, I get really talkative.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you say, I mean, judging from what you're telling me now, you were a very versatile, sporty person. How did you manage to ditch all the other sporting codes and just focus on netball? What was the one thing that made you focus on netball?
Okay. So I got to a point. Okay, to be honest, I became too unfit to go back to track and field. That's actually what happened when I got to varsity. I wasn't the same shape and size, and with athletics you have to keep training. You can't ever have like a long break. And I think I took a year break between grade 11 and matric. So from grade 11 throughout to matric. And then my first year as well, I didn't take part in any sports. So I wanted to get back because I'm a sports, like I'm a very active person as well. So when I looked at it, I said, okay, what could I actually go into that wouldn't require as much? I mean, it does require a lot of fitness as well, don't get me wrong. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's not per se, and it's not an individualized sport per se. So I mean, you have the team supporting you as well. So yeah,
And
so then you go back, go
academic-wise,
and focus. Pardon?
academic-wise, were you one of those intelligent people, or were you a hard worker? No one's gonna judge you. We over that.
Very hard worker. No, no. Um, Intelligent, yes, but I had to work hard to get the good marks that I got. So yeah.
And I mean, how did you manage to balance that? Because you can be intelligent, but also that requires a whole lot of hard work and focus and discipline as well. And here
Mhm.
you are, you love your sports. You're not only just playing one sporting code, but you participating in different sporting codes.
Yeah. So I don't know how I did it actually, to be honest. I
Ah.
worked hard, I guess. I worked hard, lots of sleepless nights, yeah, lots of sleepless nights, lots of studying. Um, I mean, my mom wasn't really a sports, do I say fanatic per se? She was more of like an academic, go to school, get good grades, go to varsity. So I knew that if I wanted to continue taking part in sports, I would have to get good grades. So it's actually what pushed me to, want to do better each time. So
And did your parents ended up being supportive? Because as much as you're saying your mom was not a sports fanatic, but was she very supportive of things that you were very passionate about?
yes, yes, eventually she became supportive. I mean, at first she wasn't. But I mean, as the years went by, she could tell that, okay, this daughter of mine actually really enjoys what she does. And she became really supportive from there onwards.
Hmm.
So,
And when did
yeah.
things start looking up for you, netball wise rather?
2017. 2017 when I actually came back on court. I think I made my first appearance on court
Mm-hmm.
in the Northwest uh, for the USA games, university games. Um, yeah, I think, okay, so my varsity back then, well, my varsity is Sabaka Makatu Health Sciences University, based in Pretoria North, in Gauteng. And we were in, I think, Pool C then, right? So we played in Pool C. I had just like joined netball again,
Mm.
and we made the finals that year. So for Pool C, in other words, right? So like how everyone is announced, the teams are announced before they play the final game.
Mm.
Yeah, that's how my team was announced. And I mean, I was starting lineup then, and very tall, my teammates all short, stood out. And yeah, that's actually when I was approached by someone approached me and offered me a bursary to study at tax. And I mean, I couldn't change my course back then because I was studying pharmacy and I wanted to finish my pharmacy degree, complete it first. So that's actually when I started like training with the tax players at University of Pretoria. And then from there, I made the provincial team, and from there, I made the junior pro tier team, and yeah, that's how it happened.
I mean, you talk about making it to the provincial team and then junior level. What is it that you were doing right? Because I mean, for someone who's watching this and who's aspiring to be like Pamela, I'm sure they want to know what ingredients are needed, I mean, according to you personally, and it's not about don't be modest, just be real, Was it the hard work, the dedication? I mean, you tell us.
To be honest, it's just the grace of God. I don't want to lie to you. It's just honestly the grace of God. Um, God has really had me. He's had me, like, had my back throughout the whole process because I was never the fittest. I was never the most skilled player. I was never the most talented player. But then for some reason, somehow there was always a coach or someone who found interest in me and just, man, we can work on this. We can work with this girl. Let's try. Let's use her here. Let's use her there. So for me, yeah, it takes hard work. Yes. I mean, obviously, work on your fitness. I couldn't really do much myself. I mean, the most I would do on campus is maybe train with my team maybe once or twice a week and then jog
Mm.
the other maybe twice a week jog and then the other 2 days maybe train with my team on court. Training with the tax goals was done maybe like twice a week as well because of the distance between tax and um, SMU. So I couldn't be there every day.
Mm.
I wasn't on any high performance program either. So yeah, yes, it takes hard work, but I mean God's grace also really saw
Also,
me
when you're
through, to be
talented,
honest.
you're talented, when something is innate and inside, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your journey, playing for the Telkom Netball League, how did that come about? Just tell us from the very beginning, from trials, the nerves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I never actually thought I'd make the team at first. So I first played for the Fireballs. That was in 2019, right? I never thought I'd make the team, to be honest. Because I'd gone for trials beforehand. I think the year before I'd gone for trials, I didn't make the team. And then I just tried my luck, man. 2019, and let's just go for these trials. Let's see what happens. And I went for trials, and trials actually went well for me. And then I made the team, and that was very exciting because now I'm playing the Taco Netball League. I'm on TV more. Every weekend I'm playing. It was really hard, very very tight, challenging for me because I was in final year at that time, completing my pharmacy degree then, and my teammates would literally see me with my books. While they're having their lunch, I'm with my books. Guys, I'm trying to study. I'm writing an exam on Monday. So yeah, it was exciting. It was a lovely experience, but it was also very difficult. But I mean, in the end, we thank God I made it through.
And you talk about studying. What were you studying?
Pharmacy.
Oh, nice. And how's that going? How far are you with that? I've interviewed most of the netball players, and I've never heard anyone saying I'm a pharmacist, So it's pretty different. How did you get into that field?
Sure. How did I even get here?
Like, how did you manage to choose pharmacy? Like, this is what I want to do. Totally different from your netball passion.
Yeah, it really is different. So I got to my final year of high school, that's now grade 12, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do in varsity, I didn't actually have a plan. I knew I loved sports. I wanted to go study sports in varsity, but my mom is a typical West African mom who believes that, health science is the way.
Yeah.
So my siblings were in varsity then. One was studying pharmacy, my sister was studying medicine, and for me it was like, okay, do you want to study nursing or dentistry, or what's your plan? And I think what I found to be, do I say the most, I wanted the easy route out, but then it would give me time to focus on my sports as well. Because I wanted to still go back into sports in varsity, was pharmacy. So we had an open day in varsity, in high school back then. And one of the guys who came for the open day was talking about pharmacy and, how you can sort of work your way around the time around pharmacy. Like once you're now a pharmacist, qualified pharmacist, you're able to locum and you can work part-time, etc. So it actually gives you time to focus on other things as well. That for me was like, okay, cool, I can actually go into those courses. It's not as demanding as medicine is, or as nursing is. That's actually why we choose pharmacy initially. Yeah.
Sure. That's very interesting. And that means you're a very disciplined person. Being able to take your books to netball after playing, you finding time to study, how are you managing it? How are you managing everything now? Because as much as now you're taking part in the Telkom Netball League, which was also demanding in its own way in terms of fitness, being there for training, but also you have a career that you also need to maintain.
Yeah, it's not easy. I must tell you, I'm drained. It really isn't easy. But when you're driven by passion, you don't stop. In as much as it is tiring, you know what you actually want to achieve from this. I wasn't as passionate about pharmacy back then as I am about it now. At least now I know that I want to specialize. I would like to go into maybe sports medicine eventually one day, work with athletes, etc. So yeah, I'll just say it's passion as well that helps me get through every tough day. Yeah.
And how was your experience with the Fireballs? What made you jump ship from the Fireballs to the Eastern Cape Aloes?
Okay, so my first year of playing TNL with the Fireballs was great. I had great teammates. Honestly speaking, every player there was really good. Why I actually jumped boats was that I moved from Gauteng after my degree. So I completed my degree in 2019. And I told myself I wanted to take a gap year in 2020 and just focus on sports. That was actually my aim. And at that time, NMU was the only varsity that, offered me a full blown like bursary to come and study there with accommodation and etc. 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 And Coach Lana is coaching at NMU. Well, I wanted to go and be coached by Coach Lana as well. So that's actually what made me move to the Eastern Cape. What's important for me is the growth that comes with it as well. In as much as, yes, I could have been playing the first division, playing with the Fireballs, etc., etc. I actually wanted to grow as a player. I felt that I wanted to work with a coach, a coach who would spend time with me, even though I couldn't really spend time with Coach Lana last year because of, coronavirus and, everything that happened last year and the lockdown and stuff. But I really wanted that attention, but I never really got in my varsity. I really wanted that attention of having a great coach, a high performance program, going to school every day, training twice a day. I never actually had that. It was mostly just me working myself and trying to build myself as a player and trying to push myself as a player. So for me, the divisions thing it didn't really bother me that much.
All right, so let's talk about your experience in last year's TNL. Obviously, different circumstances, biosafe environment. You guys didn't have enough time to train as a team. How was it? Did you adjust easily?
Okay, so it wasn't easy adjusting to it. But it was actually an experience because I'm not sure whether it would ever happen again. At that level of having 3 weeks, was it 3.5 weeks, I think, away from home and being in a biotech environment, with other players, and but it was a great experience for me, to be honest. Adjusting wise, no, wasn't easy at first, but eventually we got used to it. But towards the end, we got tired.
Yeah, because you guys were playing almost every single day, and I think that's why I'm asking you this question. Like, you guys had to just pull off a miracle in day and just show up.
Yeah, it wasn't easy, but it's about the experience, I guess. I love experiencing new things. So for me, it was the new normal, I guess.
What do you still want to achieve with the sports? Do you still have bigger plans for netball?
I would love to do more. With netball, I say netball and my degree together combined. So I've obviously picked up a gap being an athlete and also being a netball player, an athlete and a pharmacist, excuse me. I've seen a gap between healthcare workers and athletes, right? And the gap that I identified is that when we treat athletes as healthcare workers, we're not really sure whether they're taking the right medicine. For example, an athlete comes into the pharmacy and maybe has a slight fever or flu, right? Maybe it's having dry cough or a cough, and you want to give the patients or the athletes medicine to take. And the athletes will come and ask you, yeah, but I'm not too sure if this is fine for me to take because I'm playing on Saturday and I might be tested to see if I'm taking any drugs. So is it prohibited or is it not prohibited? Can I take this drug or not? And you find many a times that pharmacists don't actually know, especially the ones working in retail. We don't actually know what is prohibited, what isn't prohibited. Can the athlete take it or not? Something like Benlin flu has codeine in it. It's on the list of prohibited medicines. If that athlete takes that and it's tested on the weekend, the athlete can be banned for like 4 years without even realizing that they took something that was banned or prohibited, sorry, by WADA. So I've seen that there's a gap and I would like to sort of like breach that gap. I'm not too sure how yet. Still working on it, but yeah, I feel that if I can impact both the healthcare workers and the athletes, then I'm happy and I feel accomplished.
Sure, that's
Yeah.
very different. I've actually never heard that before from anyone else. That's very, very, very clever, and I really hope that you do bridge that gap. We'll be rooting for you. But before we wrap up the interview, any closing remarks or advice for upcoming young netball superstars who are just watching this interview and are like, yo, Pamela keeps saying that it was hard studying. She takes books to netball. One must die. I must choose one. Just words of encouragement. What do you have to say to them?
I would like to say that nothing is impossible. Believe in yourself, trust God. It definitely will work out. Nothing is impossible. If you set your mind to it, you can achieve it. So, yes, it may not be easy. The journey is never easy, but I mean, when you think of like where you want to end up, the final destination, that should be motivation enough to actually keep you going. And that's what actually kept me going as well. I knew I wanted to finish my pharmacy degree. I knew after studying my pharmacy degree, I spoke to my mom. I told mom, I was like, Mom, when I'm done with this degree, I'm taking a gap year. And she was like, yes, of course, go for it. So it motivates me to finish my degree. So yeah, I think just be passionate about, I mean, the passion is a driving force, yes. And then don't forget your books as well. So
Hallelujah. Amen. I couldn't have said that better. Wise words indeed. Thank you so much, Pamela, for making time for us. I wish you all the best in your career. You are a pharmacist in training, right?
yes, I am.
So how long is it going to take you to be a fully qualified pharmacist?
2 years.
2 more years.
Yes.
You're nearly done. 2 years is nothing. And also, we can't wait to see you on the netball courts doing wonders for your team. Thank you, Pamela.
Thank you.